So hey Max, do you remember the first time you met Tony?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. This is a story of how we adopted one of our son's BFFs and their sibling twice. Welcome to Lauren Foster's, where we talk about all things foster care and adoption related. My name is Lauren, and today we're gonna talk about Max and Tony's story. But before we get into it, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I usually say that at the end, but it would mean so much to me if you guys would take just a quick second and hit the like and subscribe. And as always, I love to hear your comments. I really do read the comments that come through, and I love to hear your stories, so feel free to share those as well. So hey Max, do you remember the first time you met Tony?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
He was crying in the corner.
Was that really what was happening?
Yeah, I was crying in the corner.
Why were you crying in the corner? Just having a rough day?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And I was playing Legos and I looked at him and I said, hey, I think you'd probably want to play with me.
Yeah, you're a real outgoing guy, right, Tony?
Yep.
Makes friends with everybody. So what did you think about Tony when you first met him?
Why are you asking someone crying in the corner?
But you played with him anyway, right? Yeah.
he did.
Were you guys friends forever right after that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's inseparable after that, huh?
Yes.
Do you remember us telling you that Tony was moving in with us?
Yeah.
Yeah? How'd you feel about that? Was that kind of weird?
I was probably confused and excited.
Yeah, it's hard, right? When you have, so you already had so many siblings, right? You had 5 other siblings at the time. And then you found out you were going to have 6 and 7 other siblings, right? How'd you feel moving in with us, Tony?
I was pretty excited.
You were pretty excited? Was it because you thought it would be a giant slumber party with Max forever and ever?
Yes.
But is it a giant slumber party with Max?
No.
No. There's a point where you guys became brothers, right?
Uh-huh.
So does that mean you always get along?
No, not really.
No, but you still love each other, right?
Yep.
Yeah, BFFs for life?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sort of, except for when you're fighting.
Uh-huh.
Max, what is your favorite thing about Tony?
His addiction for Legos.
And Tony, what's your favorite thing about Max?
Of how he loves just to play with me when I asked him to.
Aww.
They're Legos.
Legos.
Do you guys sometimes feel like you're twins because you're about the same age?
Yeah.
No.
Kinda.
What do you think you guys fight about the most?
Fight?
Yeah.
Stupid stuff. Like we argue about stupid
Not
stuff.
playing with Legos.
Yeah, mostly.
It's just the Lego thing. That's really what brought this full circle, huh?
Yes.
I wasn't kidding in the intro when I said we have adopted one of our son's close friends 2 times and their sibling. And when I say we've adopted our son's close friend twice, I mean 2 different sons. So like 2 different of my sons had a close friend that we ended up fostering and then adopting, as well as their sibling, which came with them. But this video in particular, I'm gonna focus in on one of those stories, and that's the story of Tony and Max. Max is my 3rd born biological child. He was a toddler when we started this whole foster care thing several years ago. Tony's adoption was quite a crazy story, and I won't get into that story right here in this video because it deserves a video of its own. But in this video, I'm gonna focus specifically on Max and Tony's friendship and how that led to us adopting him. A few years ago, we were really close friends with another foster mom. I mean, we're still really close friends with that mom, but we are military. If you are just joining in for the first time, we are a military family that has done the foster care and adoption stuff. 3 states now. We're on state number 3. So this was our 2nd state, our 2nd duty station where we fostered. But we were really close friends with another foster mom. She was a single foster mom, and she had tons of kids coming through her house. I don't know how she did it, but she was one of those superstar foster moms that took every case they called her for, I think. But she had a placement of 2 sweet boys, and I remember the moment I met them. We were actually going to a foster care event where there would be some speakers, and I was getting a couple of my little ones out of the car, and as she was getting a couple of her little ones out of the car, 2 of them came up to me, and I just remember their little faces looking up to me and saying, "Hi, Miss Wowen," and that is how I met these 2 brothers. This same foster mom also went to the same church as us, and her oldest foster son was the exact same age and grade as my 3rd born biological son named Max. So of course they were buddied together in children's church and in either little church activities they had going on, and during that they got to know each other very, very well. Something to know about Tony at this point is that they were in their 6th foster home. They had jumped around from home to home to home for a very long time. I remember one time I was standing with their foster mom and we were on a basketball court and the kids were running around just kind of shooting the ball and playing and being silly. And kind of jokingly, she said, hey, you know, you could foster these kids. And we kind of laughed at the time because we were already at the state limit. We had 6 kids already in our home in that particular state. 6 kids is the absolute max. So there was just no way, although a lot of states do allow you to go over if it's a kinship placement or if there's some other circumstance where they can kind of waive that. That was not the story we had going on. So I thought under no circumstance, like there's no way, for one, there's no way from a legal standpoint this would ever be allowed to happen. And then also, like, my husband would never agree to this. We have 6 kids. That's a tremendous amount of children. Like, there's no way we can take more kids. And once again, a different story for a different time on how that all worked out. But just to kind of brush over a quick, like, synopsis of their story, we spent about a year getting to know these boys super duper well. We did respite for their foster mom quite a bit, which gave her a break, and she really needed that break. These boys had been in several homes for a reason. They were a handful. I mean, truth be told, they were a handful. But as this time is going on and as these boys are in church together, we're doing respite for them on the weekends, we started kind of like, that started snowballing a bit in that we started doing more and more with them. So we would take them with us if we went places. We would try to spend holidays with them, even try to celebrate their birthdays with them if we could. And all the while, Max and Tony were becoming the best of friends. At some point in all of this, the caseworker, the judge, everyone involved in their case did agree to allow the boys to move into our home. They were considered a kinship placement. Once again, that's a long story. I could, you know, every state, every judge, every case, every county is so different on how they weigh that out. So I hesitate almost to even bring it up because I don't want you to think this was like some willy-nilly quick knee-jerk reaction kind of decision on their part. It was really done after a whole lot of respite that we had done in their particular case, and also a little bit out of desperation because it really was hard for them to find a placement for these boys. We had never done anything like this before. In the past, we had fostered strangers. Essentially, we had fostered kids that we got a call for, and they just showed up at our house. We had never seen them. We didn't know anything about them. So this was very different in that we knew them fairly well. By the time they moved into our house, we had had a lot of experiences with them already under our belt. I hate to say that my mind even went here as a foster parent, but truth be told, because they were kind of a handful and because they were kind of difficult, I remember being very concerned about Max at the time. I was very concerned that, you know, when you see someone out in public and you're in these fun situations where you're at the park or you're at church or you're in these like social environments, I think kids act a certain way. And my concern was bringing these kids in and that behind the scenes stuff becoming Max's reality also. I'm not gonna lie to you, the nitty and gritty of it is that these boys looked really bad on paper. They had struggled in several foster homes. I didn't want that to be the reality at my house, and I didn't want that to be the reality for Max. But in our family's typical style, we threw caution to the wind. We said yes. We actually didn't even just say yes to these boys coming in our home. We practically begged for that entire year for them to come into our home. And please understand that the foster mom in the home that they lived in was backing this up entirely, like totally backing this whole thing up and encouraging us along the way and hoping for the same things. It was kind of funny because it was almost like we were this like super civil divorced couple that was co-parenting these boys, especially towards the end. We'd kind of sit there and figure out, okay, what part of the holiday, what part of Christmas are you spending with the boys? What part do we get to spend with the boys? And trying to divvy up all their time so we both got time with the boys. But in the end, Tony was allowed to move in with us, and not just Tony, but his sweet little brother Tristan. They came as a package deal, and of course we wouldn't have had it any other way than to keep them together. If you are just tuning in for the first time, I am former foster youth. I was part of a sibling set that got to stay together, so it was super duper important to me that these two sweet boys got to stay together as well. I remember them moving in and me thinking like, where's the point where they realize this is not like a sleepover anymore? This isn't a slumber party, and Tony's not with his BFF Max, but instead he's with his actual brother. And that time did come. It was kind of an interesting arc of emotion because they moved in with all this excitement and yay, it's like a big slumber party. And then of course, you know, I mean, if you've ever had a kid like stay more than one night in a row, like kids start getting sick of each other after a while, right? So there did become a point where Tony and Max almost grew a little bit apart. And I would tell you that that broke my heart, but honestly, I was kind of looking forward to the moment where they would stop being best friends and they would start being brothers. And that didn't mean that they stopped being friends as brothers, but I needed them to become brothers. I needed them to bond, and I needed their relationship to not be so conditional. It needed to become unconditional, like we're stuck with each other for life. We are brothers for life, and this is permanent. Those moments did happen over time, but it definitely didn't happen on day one. So if you find yourself in this particular situation somehow, some way, please don't try to force that. I would say right off the bat, don't try to force, we did tell them, look, this is your foster brother, but we kind of like let them navigate what that was going to look like for quite a while. Of course, when we got towards adoption, and things got more permanent, we were able to say things like, hey, this is your brother forever. Like this could be the best man in your wedding, or at least a groomsman. Like this is somebody that's going to be there at your graduation. This is somebody that's going to be your guy to call when you're an adult and you're going through some stuff and you need your brother to talk to. Like this is your forever brother, but it did take us a while to get there. I would say if you know Tony and Max to this day, you will know that they are still thick as thieves. They love each other dearly. They're still kind of best friends. I mean, when we go to places where there's other friend groups there, you'll kind of see them sometimes venture off and do their own thing. But generally speaking, because they are so close in age and they are in the same grade and we do a lot of the same activities together, basketball and these kind of things, so they're on teams together, they do buddy up and they fight just like brothers. And you know what? I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I'm okay with that because I'm just so glad that they've gotten to the point where they're bonded as brothers. And it's not this like we're friends today and not tomorrow kind of stuff, but we're forever brothers regardless of whether we're getting along, regardless of whether we're BFFs today. We will always be brothers. So anyway, that's the story of how we adopted at least one of our sons, BFFs, and his little brother. Please stay tuned for video number 2 where we talk about Zach and Junior's story. But like I said at the beginning of this video, please like, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me for you to support this channel, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.